Good morning and welcome back to Workforce Wednesday in the Kentucky Chamber Workforce Center's Bus to Business virtual program series. We are so excited to bring this program to students virtually for the 2020-2021 school year. My name is Harper Smith and I am the Senior Manager of the Kentucky Chamber Workforce Center, and I help direct the Bus to Business program. Today, we will be hearing from Big Ass fans, but before I introduce our speakers, I want to thank our sponsors, the Kentucky Society for Human Resources Management, Kentucky SHRM, and AT&T, who we are always excited to welcome their involvement in our programs and thank them for their investment in helping to bring classrooms to careers. I also want to thank the entire team at ULEMI for their partnership and support through this awesome virtual event platform. As usual, our resources and videos are housed on our website, kychamber.com/bus2business. This webinar is being recorded as well as live streamed on Facebook and YouTube, and will be available to rewatch or share with interested students and businesses afterwards. So whether you are one of the over 225 students tuning in live with us on March 10th or watching at a later date, thank you so much for joining in, and I hope you all learned something new. Today, we will be hearing from a bunch of employees from Big Ass Fans in Lexington. Our Senior Talent Pipeline Management Project Manager, Sarah Tracy, will be moderating and watching in the chat for any questions, and will incorporate those into the panel discussion. Today, we will be hearing from Blake Best, John Young, Samantha Couch, Kelly Frederick, Liz Combs, and Gretchen Grunberg. I will now kick it over to Kelly Frederick to hear an overview of the company.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Kelly. I am our corporate recruiter, and we are Big Ass Fans. So we're founded in 1999, been around for 22 years now. Excuse me. We are based in Lexington, Kentucky. And we make anything from residential fans to, of course, big industrial size fans. And we are located here in Lexington for our headquarters, but we also have offices in Malaysia, Canada, Australia, and Singapore. So we're so happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. So now I'm going to bring up all of our speakers to the screen. And if you all could please share who you are, what your job is, and kind of how you got to that job. So I'll add everybody up. And I guess, Kelly, maybe you can kind of start, and then I'll kind of prompt you all. But yeah, Kelly, if you could go first.
Sure. So I am our corporate recruiter here in Lexington, Kentucky. I've been with the company for a total of about 3 years now, and I hire the people. I bring everybody in. So anything from active recruiting to managing the people that are applying everywhere. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Gretchen, how about you go next?
Hi there, I am Gretchen Grunberg. I am our executive assistant to the entire leadership team, so I help manage all of their lives and calendars. I also am our corporate operations manager, so all of the day-to-day operations of our facilities and visitors, and then also our events and engagement. So I get to plan and execute all of our fun perks and events for our employees and their families. Hopefully we will be able to do some live events sooner rather than later. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We've had to be pretty creative this past year, but I have been at the company for 8 years, and in the last 2 to 3 years moved into this role. I previously was in sales, operations, bebopped around the company a little bit. So I'm very excited to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's hear from John next.
All right. So my name is John, and currently reside in the account management sector of our new sales department. Been with the company, it'll be 9 years in August. Started as a production temp originally with the company, and eventually got hired on full-time in that role, and graduated to our customer service aftermarket departments after about a year, where I spent about 3 years just kind of learning the the product, about the company, things like that, and eventually made my way to the new sales floor and kind of taking it from there. And so far, so good. Been very successful with what we're doing, and led the group in sales the last 2 years.
Awesome. Liz, how about you?
Yeah, so good morning, guys. My name is Liz Combs. I am a product manager here at Big Ass Fans. I do all the directional fans. So those are the fans that are going to typically be on the floor, but sometimes hung from the ceiling. I have been with the company for 7 years. I started in residential sales, moved to sales operations where I did a lot of quoting and order processing, as well as led the team there in training, and then moved to engineering where I did some fun custom fans. So any painted fans, any unique motors, those kinds of projects. So really had a fun time with those, and then moved to product management in 2019. So been blessed to move around with the company over the 7 years, and really found a place where I've enjoyed to work. So thank you.
Awesome. Blake, how about you?
All right, so my name is Blake Best. I am a financial analyst at Big Ass Fans. I started in 2019 as a finance and accounting intern, summer intern in between my 2 semesters of grad school. And then shortly after my internship, I was offered a full-time position. So I started full-time just over a year ago in cost accounting. And in March, I transitioned into this FP&A role. So I do a lot of our month-end reporting, help with month-end close and accounting. And yeah, I mean, I've not been here too long, so I don't quite have quite the resume as John and Liz and Gretchen, but that's all I got.
Awesome. And last but not least, Samantha, how about you?
Good morning, guys. So unlike the rest of the team that has had, an opportunity to work in multiple positions, since the day I walked in about 5.5 years ago, I have lived and breathed everything HR. So we've seen this company go from what felt like a very small Lexington-based company to a global leader in HBLS, and the HR team has been a big part of expanding and growing and bringing everybody that's on this call today into this company. So this is an exciting opportunity. So thank you again for inviting us.
Well, thank you all again for being here. We really appreciate it. And now I'm going to bring up our Sarah from our team, and she is going to ask you all a couple more questions. And students, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we will be monitoring that and make sure that those are asked. So I'll kick it over to Sarah. Thanks.
Thanks, Harper. And thanks everyone for being here this morning. I'm really excited to chat with you all, and hopefully some of the students will really engage and ask a lot of fun questions as well. I'm going to start. We'll just kind of go through everyone again for this first question. You told us a lot about your background with the company. What is your background beyond that, and what led you to this career path or this field? And we can just go in the same order. So Kelly, if you want to start.
Sure, absolutely. So I started out as an intern for a small manufacturer in Richmond, Kentucky. We made auxiliaries for hydrogen-cooled generators and turbines. So at the time, I was a marketing major and I was a marketing intern, but I did a little bit of everything since it was a small company. So anything from managing all their trade shows to selling at their trade shows to doing a little bit of this and that. That turned out to be a full-time role. They created a role for me. So I was there for a couple of years and then came to Big Ass Fans. And then I started out, back in the day, everyone started in the call center. So whether you were going to sales, whether you were going to more of an admin role or whatever the case may be, you started in the call center to understand the company as a whole. So I started out there, and then I moved into our sales operations team, which is where you do all the quoting and processing. And I was there for a little bit as well. And then my husband got a job in Indianapolis. So I ended up having to leave, and we bopped around for a little bit. During my time away there, I was a corporate recruiter, or not corporate recruiter, a recruiter for other corporate companies. It was a staffing company. So I did that for about 2 years. And then the company, Big Ass Fans, needed somebody that does what my husband does. So then they took him and brought me back as a bonus. So I've been back for about 2 years now. And I started out in sales operations, and then I went to, I manage all of our entry-level sales team. So anybody that's brand new to the company, brand new sales, I managed that team for quite some time. And then this corporate recruiter position opened up, and I went back to my roots. So I've been in this role for a few months now, but I feel like I'm right at home.
Great. Thank you. There is already one question in the chat, and I think I know the answer. I don't think you're going to take us on a virtual tour today, right? And
Not today. Maybe in the future.
I didn't think so. Do you guys, in the spirit of that, do you guys have a video online somewhere where maybe the students can go and see that? We could definitely link it to our social media if that's out there. We can make sure that they get that.
I believe we do. A couple years ago, we had Fanny take us on a tour. So Fanny is our donkey that's her name. And she kind of shows you all through our headquarters office. But we have a few videos that we can send over.
Okay, perfect. So Fran, we will find that video for you and we will get that to everyone. All right, Gretchen, can we talk through your background a little bit?
Hi there. So I actually have only been at Big Ass Fans my entire adult career. When I was in college at the University of Kentucky, I truthfully harassed my way into an interview here. And I'm convinced that the recruiter gave me an interview just to get me to stop emailing and calling and emailing and calling him. And I applied for a marketing position. I had my heart set on joining the marketing team. And he brought me in for an interview, told me I, was pretty persistent so I could be good at sales, but there wasn't any positions in marketing. Said, we'd love to hire you. You seem to have a great attitude. Promise, there will be an opening in marketing within the next 6 months to a year, but this will be a great foot in the door. And I didn't want to go into sales. I wanted to chart my own path. Both my parents were in sales, but I took it because I wanted a job and I wanted the experience. And in my 8 years here, I've actually never been in the marketing department. I've been in sales and was honestly a mediocre sales rep at best, but I really got into the operations and the behind the scenes and the process management of how things get pieced together and work. And that has been the building block of my career to be here. But it's been a lot of fun and definitely a great opportunity that I, speaking with other college classmates, I know that I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else. So happy to be here.
Thanks, Gretchen. And that's, kind of in the background, some great advice for the students that, you may graduate from high school or college and have, the idea in your head of exactly what you want to do, but you might find as you explore the world that, you have a different career path that you go down. Thanks,
well,
Gretchen.
and Sarah, with that, one thing that's kind of neat is each role that I've had at the company has been a brand new role to the company. So it's been one where, we haven't had a set cookie cutter of, okay, here's exactly what other people have done in this role. It's been, here's this role. We're going to do this. We think you'd be pretty good at it. And it was trusting my mentors and the leadership here of, okay, let's try it. And we might need to tweak things as we go, but it's been a lot of fun to be able to try out these new roles that the company has been building out as the company's been growing over the last few years.
That's really neat. You get to explore a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Gretchen. Blake, how about your background?
So like Gretchen, I spent my entire adult career at Big Ass Fans. That's 1 year. I graduated college in December of 2019. Unlike Gretchen, I've known since I was 16 that I wanted to work in finance. Math has always been my strong suit, and I know that finance is an internal department that gets to work with many different groups, so I like that social aspect of it. So I went to college, majored in economics and finance. And while in college, I was on the football team and I had 1 year of eligibility left when I graduated. So I went to get my master's in finance. And for me, it was all about just being very intentional when I did. I had a goal that I set when I was young that I wanted to reach. So I made sure that I was doing everything that I could. And like I said earlier, I started with a summer internship. I had a mutual connection with someone who worked here. And that turned into my full-time job. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. That doesn't happen for everybody. So that's really great that worked for you. Samantha?
Oh, okay. So I guess when I was in college, I knew in some capacity I always wanted to work with people. I just wasn't sure how. So I went towards the social work and psychology background. And I'm not from the Lexington area, so I didn't go to college locally. And I am a native New Yorker, so I talked to everybody, and that was my way of figuring out what I wanted to do and how I was going to do it. So when I graduated, I had a few different options, and much like Kelly, I went the recruiting route because I felt like if I went recruiting, I would talk to all these different people and I would engage with all these different types of people, whether it was, somebody from an accounting background, somebody from a finance background, somebody from a sales background, because I wasn't exactly sure what my niche was yet. And I figured if I kind of traveled through the recruiting path, it would give me a better idea. And then just worked my way up. It's almost how I got into, it's interesting because as you hear, and as you talk to more big ass fans people, it's basically come down to, in some capacity, everybody identified the company and figured out how to get into the company. I was asked to come in and look at some of the recruiting processes and what was working and what wasn't working. And I didn't work here. And I did it as a favor to a mutual friend. And I walked in and I just started talking to people. I talked to the sales team to see what was working and what wasn't working. And I had a full-time job. I was basically doing this, as what I thought was just going to help out. And I met with enough people, and the last person I met with asked me why I didn't work here. And I was like, why don't you make me an offer? And I left and was like, well, that was strange. And then in my email that night, there was an offer. So, but ultimately it's how people are successful here is you get up and you engage and you have conversations and in some capacity you build your own path. And from an HR perspective, we are very, very big on internal referrals. Whenever somebody starts, we always explain to them, one of my favorite questions is, well, who do you know? Because who's in your circle? Who do you surround yourself with? What are they good at? What can they do? What are they looking for? How can we be better? So we do have a referral bonus, but at the end of the day, good people want to refer other good people to help the organization grow. But get out there and I think, that best advice we could offer is get out there and engage in conversations, talk to people and figure out what it is you want to do. The more people you talk to, the more understanding you have and how to build your path.
That's a great point. And to your point as well, you saw that happening internally and those internal referrals. But like Blake said, he kind of had that outside connection that helped make that. So students always remember, anytime you're out and about and meeting new people, that might be the connection that's going to lead you down your career path. You just never know. So you've got to get out and talk to people safely, obviously during a pandemic. John, can we turn it over to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I might be kind of the black sheep of the group as far as what they went to college for and starting here immediately. So I actually graduated with a degree in science and healthcare, kind of going in that field. And once I got out of college, it was something I enjoyed, but it wasn't a passion that I had. Always just playing sports and stuff growing up, just competitive nature, things like that. I just felt like it wasn't the best fit for me. So I made the leap from healthcare and took a manufacturing temporary position here just to kind of get my foot in the door, like Gretchen was mentioning. And once I got here, just, applied a good work ethic, showed, enthusiasm for what I was doing, putting forth the effort that needed to be to make myself stand out. And that got me hired on to a full-time position in our manufacturing department. And then from there, I actually had a minor knee procedure done. And while I was recuperating with downtime, they sent me to customer service aftermarket and basically said, hey, if it works out there, you're more welcome to stay. If not, you can come back to your old position. And that was my very first sales job I had ever had in any shape or form. And got there and took to it like a fish in the water, I guess you could say. So once I started doing it, realized it was something that I enjoyed. The competitive benefits of sales in nature was about the closest thing to, playing competitive sports that I'd experienced. So just took a liking to that and kind of honed everything that, I needed to know about, product wise and sales, things like that while I was there. And graduated to our new sales group and took that same work ethic. Never forgot that, hey, I started off as a, production temp in our manufacturing department and just kind of use that as a chip on my shoulder to prove to everybody that, even though I came from that background, that I can still be the best and, eventually rise to the top.
That's great, John. I love the stories when someone goes that unexpected career path. This is fantastic for our students to hear. Liz, how about you?
Yeah, so I have, like Gretchen and Blake, only ever been at Big Ass Fans. I too just in order to get my foot in the door, I started in sales, which is not something that I ever wanted to do. In high school, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. And so I got to college. I didn't have a major declared and did first year of just some standard classes and found that I liked management and marketing. And so that's what I studied in college. And then once I went to go graduate, I was looking at different job opportunities. And thankfully, with management and marketing, there's not any specific job that I have to go into. So there were a lot of opportunities and had a mutual friend here at Big Ass Fans that I was able to get in contact with, and she reached out and got me an interview, and the rest is history from there. So I got into Big Ass Fans, and I've loved it here. It's been a great opportunity.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah.
So students, what I'm hearing again and again is that networking piece. Make sure that you're always have that game face on, always have those good conversations, always making those connections whether you're at school or out in your community. All right, we'll start with a couple other questions that I've got that I'll direct one to each of you. We'll start with Samantha. Do you still keep continuous training and continuous improvement for your role?
Yeah, me personally, and then as an organization, training is paramount. I think what we do that we push not only for ourselves but for the organization as a whole is we want, and in the world of COVID, it's adjusted a little bit, but we want engaging, interactive. For lack of a better term, face-to-face training. So my training isn't as exciting. It's HR, legal, and what laws are changing, what adjustments do we have to make? Is it the most exciting thing I sit through? Probably not, but it's my job to make sure that as an organization we're doing things the way we should. As it relates to training for all the other folks on this webinar, it's all about, and in fact, some of the people on this call are our trainers. But what works best for us is small group training, engaging training, interactive training. But in the grand scheme of things, we try to make sure that per quarter we've got something going on. And as we innovate as a company and as we grow, it is important for us to share with everybody that works here what the new products are, and Liz is a big part of this. What our new products are, how we're explaining those products to not only the people in sales that are going to sell them, but also the people in customer service, also the employees in production who are going to be building these products. So training it's not a bad word here. In fact, it's one of those things where regularly we have a training specialist for the organization, and we have employees across the board that make suggestions to her as far as what's important and what we need more training on. But as a whole, in some capacity, training touches every single employee in the organization.
Great, thank you. Kelly, what advice would you give to someone thinking about a career path like yours, or just into Big Ass Fans, which I think we've heard networking for sure, but what advice would you give to the students?
Sure, absolutely. Well, if it's one that's like mine, again, mine was kind of non-conventional, right? So it just kind of happened. And that's how I think a lot of careers happen, is that you just start somewhere and then you be the best that you can be in that role. And then as some other opportunities come up that you have an interest in, or maybe where there's an opportunity to learn, just go for it. I think that's probably the biggest advice I can give anyone, is if there's an opportunity to learn, go for it. And then, and again, continuous learning, that kind of ties into the last question. As far as Big Ass Fans, definitely networking, but also if you have a passion for something, show it through, an internship, a co-op, or something that you could do in the meantime before you get here. I think that's probably your best bet of getting the position that you want.
Perfect. We did have a question come in the chat that would be fitting for either of you, Kelly or Samantha. What is or are the main characteristics that you're looking for in potential employees?
I can take that. So we are a very fun company, right? So, I mean, our name is Big Ass Fans, but our culture is very fun, but we are definitely a work hard, play hard type of company. So the biggest characteristic is somebody that can, work their butt off to get what they are trying to accomplish, to reach a goal, but also can talk to their friends at work and who, enjoy being out with their friends, because on a normal non-COVID year, time, whatever, we spend a lot of time together, right? So your family, your company is your second family, because you spend more time at work than you do home sometimes. So I would say that our culture is very important to us, and we want to make sure that we have somebody that wants to have just as much fun as we do, but also is willing to put in the work to get there.
Perfect. Thanks. Blake, what is the job market like for a career like yours in particular, but what is the job market like in general? A lot of these students are going to be graduating high school and kind of looking at their next steps. What's the job market like at Big Ass Fans?
Job market in terms of what? If you could expand a little bit more on that for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking like availability and the variety of different positions, or how often different things come open.
So for Big Ass Fans, I think it's definitely a Kelly or Sam type of question. I will say, though, from a recent grad, I'm constantly still getting bombarded with emails from job sites that I was active on when I was still in school. In accounting and finance, there's tons of different types of roles that could play into accounting or finance. But I think this is kind of a good way to circle back to everything we've talked about prior to this point. Nothing's really set in stone at any point. So the job market's whatever's out there, it's out there, and you just have to adapt to that. I don't know, Kelly, do you want to talk about?
I can expand on that. Yeah. So Big Ass Fans, we are ever changing, right? So we are constantly trying to grow in whatever direction we can. So this past year, we came out with COVID killing fans. So if you take a look at our website, you'll see that we have fans that have UVC and ion technology. And with that creates new roles. So I think that we are constantly creating new roles for our innovation style. And so whenever you apply for a role, you might not get that role, but another role might be a really good fit for you in the future. So I think that we are constantly creating roles. Like Gretchen said, every role that she's been in was created for her. And then that happened to me with my first company, is that I started out as an intern, and I did so much for them that they thought, hey, we could use this full time. So they created a role for me. So I think it goes back to working your butt off in the position that you have now, and it could potentially just create a role for yourself, and finding your passion in what you're doing. It'll show the value in what that role is.
I think people need to be open-minded. Every day we get over 20,000 resumes a year for open positions. So it's not uncommon for Kelly to have a conversation with someone and say, hey, Liz, I got your resume with regard to this position. However, I also have this position that's open. And then Kelly will talk through, an alternate position, or, a couple different opportunities that we have, because after a phone screen or after an interview, you realize maybe not great for this, but potentially this. And I think the other thing is sometimes all it takes is just to get your foot in the door. Every conversation and every individual that's on this call right now came in one role and has since progressed into other opportunities. So I think going into something, even in Blake's case, where, he was, on the straight and narrow with regard to finance, and then went and got his MBA, he still came in on the accounting side of our world, and then, eventually elevated into an analyst role. So I think what people need to remember is sometimes you just need to get your foot in the door. And even once you accept an opportunity and you're in a role, never stop talking to people. Always engage other people. Whenever we have people internally that apply for positions, yes, they'll come through HR at some point. But most people will just go and have a conversation with a hiring manager, or they'll go and have a conversation amongst that hiring team to ask a little bit about what that team's responsible for, what their day looks like, or what their month looks like, or it's on warm days we sell more fans. So when they go upstairs to sales, they'll see, in May, nobody has any time. Everybody's running and selling fans and processing the fans and getting the orders to production so that everything can be shipped out. But at the end of the day, don't stop talking, engage people, get to know one another, and figure out where your path is. And don't be, don't just take status quo. I think keep pushing yourself to do more and to be more and figure it out.
That's perfect, Samantha. Thank you. And that actually, you kind of said my next question in there. Liz, what does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, that is a great question. So when I started with the company, in the roles that I was in, it was very structured. There was a lot of, did the exact same thing over and over, either made sales calls or processed orders. Now it really is a variety of different things. So as Samantha touched on earlier, training is a huge portion of what I do. What I am responsible for is the product line, specifically the directional fans. I work a lot with the marketing departments, with sales, and with production operations. There are so many different departments that I work with, and from a day-to-day, it changes all the time. And so it was really an adjustment moving from just having a structured schedule every day to moving into this role and kind of having to pick priorities and understand what comes and goes. And so, I mean, if you look at this week alone, I've had training with new hires. I've been working with John on a big project that we've got coming down the pipeline. I've been in communication with the operations team to make sure that they've got the materials that they need to work on certain jobs. And it really is, it changes every day. I'm in a lot of meetings, it can be good and it can be bad. It's more of being informed and continuously updated on my products, including new things that we're launching. We are a huge company for new products. We are constantly coming out with new things, not just the next big fan, but accessories. We are very heavy on just making sure that our customers get exactly what they want when they order our fans. So from a day to day, it really changes all the time, but it's been an interesting experience to adapt from, like in high school, you have a schedule that you're following, and it really is important to pick priorities when you get into jobs where you don't know what you're doing day in and day out.
My days are very different too, so I totally understand that. John, I'd love for you to impart a little wisdom here for our students. What do you know now that you wish you had known when you graduated from high school?
I think the number one thing there would be knowing how much I would enjoy sales as a career. It was something that it wasn't even on my radar from, really growing up or coming out of high school or even coming out of college for that matter. But just knowing that I could have, jump started over, a few years, from between college and, by the time I started here, could have just been like so much further along and, just further down the path than I am now. But just knowing that early on, but it's one of those things sometimes you're not really sure what you'll like, or, you might have to almost let your, passion come to you rather than, going after it yourself if you don't really know what that may be. So just kind of keep an open mind. Just whatever comes your way, just know when it shows up, then you just jump in with both feet and make sure you make the most out of it.
Thanks, John. Gretchen, I have been fortunate enough to tour your all's facility before, and you hinted to this a little bit earlier about planning things for the employees and engagement activities and things. But can you talk a little bit more about what a neat and fun environment it is at Big Ass Fans? I don't know if the rooms are still like this, but when I toured, they were all named after Monopoly board pieces. And
they are. They are.
So
my office is actually labeled as free parking. And and all of our meeting spaces are different Monopoly rooms. So we've got Kentucky Avenue, Oriental. All of our executives have the different tokens. So our CEO, who really likes race cars, has the race car. So it's a lot of fun. It's an open office environment. So what's really neat about it is with the open concept, with most folks being in not your typical cubicle farm that you would think of, it increases collaboration because there's yes, you have your own desk, but when you're speaking to people in your department, you're having conversations, other people around you are still able to hear that. And there's so much collaboration that goes on, so many things that have led to bigger ideas and more collaboration cross-departmentally rather than just having people stick to their own silos in their own department because of what people have heard just by, walking by or getting pulled into something saying, hey, can you quick come give us your opinion? And so it's really nice to see that we're all on the same campus. We, here at our global headquarters, and we can all work together. So it's not uncommon to see folks from multiple different departments in meetings. And with that, naturally, they're developing friendships, they're developing relationships with people. So it's not just, people in sales are friends with people from sales, or people from finance are friends with people from finance. We have all sorts of folks from across the organization that become friends. And it's really more like a family. Like we've said, spending as much time as we do here, you really do develop lasting relationships where people know each other's kids' names, their grandkids' names, and being able to bring them all to our company events that are on site when, of course, we're not in a global pandemic, which is one of my favorite parts. It's really fun to be able to see people make those relationships here, where we're each other's support system through everything. So.
Thanks, Gretchen. I haven't seen any other questions pop up in the chat. Students, just a reminder, if you have any particular questions, please put those there. We have a question that we like to ask everyone who is on the call, just sort of fun, and I'll start the share. But what was your first job ever? So for me, it was actually shoveling horse manure. I worked at one of the equine veterinary clinics here in Lexington, and that was my job. I was on the barn crew and I cleaned the stalls. So that was my first job ever at 16. Kelly, how about you?
My first job was a cashier at Kmart, at the local Kmart. So RIP.
Gretchen, what was yours?
So the day I turned 15, my dad told me I needed to find a job. I didn't have anywhere, I couldn't drive. So I had to find somewhere within walking distance. So I became a snack bar girl at our local country club, and I'd walk to work every day. And throughout the summer, I would sell snacks to people at the country club.
Thanks, Gretchen. Blake, what was yours?
My senior year of high school, I cleaned cars at Auto Bell Car Wash, trying to save some money before I came to school. So that was my first one.
Nice. We've got a good variety here. Samantha, what about you?
Oh my gosh. This is not good. So in high school, I worked at this archaic place that nobody will recognize. It was called Blockbuster Video. And there used to be these fancy machines that your parents, or hell, your grandparents had, and you would put a movie cassette in that and you would watch it, and then you'd bring it back to me at said store. And I think I scanned it and put it on a shelf somewhere. Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, I remember Blockbuster.
Great. Yeah, nope. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to take PTO. This has been painful. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing, Samantha. John, what about you?
So I grew up in a small town in central Kentucky in Springfield, and around a lot of farms and things. So my first actual paying job was hauling hay bales and also in the tobacco field.
Awesome. Liz? That's tough work, John.
Makes you appreciate office work.
I started out at a summer camp where I worked as maintenance and kitchen. So served the kids food, cleaned the bathrooms, did some weed eating around the camp. So that was my first job at age 14.
Very nice. All right, and I've got one more question. Haven't seen any in the chat, and this will be for each of you, and it's kind of two-pronged. It's another fun one. Don't sweat too much. What is something that people may not know about your job, but I want to elaborate a little further. So, fun fact about your job and fun fact about you. Kelly?
Oh man, I'm the first. A fun fact about the job. Well, I'll start with a fun fact about me, because I have to think about the job. I was born here in the United States, but I spent most of my life overseas. So, grew up in Europe mostly. Fun fact about the job: it's just really fun. I mean, I think most people know that like recruiters' jobs are pretty fun. It's a lot of hard work, but oh man, that's tough. As far as a fun fact of things that people might not know about recruiters, there's a lot of negotiation. I would say that what most people don't see a recruiter as is a salesperson, but at the end of the day, you're still selling a job to someone and then selling a candidate to the managers. So I guess that could be my fun fact.
Yeah, that works great. Gretchen?
Let's see. I guess a fun fact about me could be that I'm actually a certified yoga instructor, just something several years ago, really liked taking yoga classes, looked up one day, said, I could probably do that. So went to school, got a certificate, and now I'm certified to teach, which is fun. Not that we're teaching in-person classes right now. Something fun about my role, other than I had to learn things about landscaping to be a facilities manager, I get to stock the beer fridge at work. Something I never thought I was going to be able to do because, well, frankly, I'm not much of a beer drinker. And we have a beer fridge at work, which is a really fun part of our culture where when we meet our sales goal for the day, we get to crack open the beer fridge at the end of the day, and all of our employees that are of age, of course, get to partake in having a beer, having a seltzer. And it's really neat because, it's not just our rock star sales folks like John who get to celebrate their great sales days. The entire company is involved in it and they get to celebrate together. So you could be a finance intern like, Blake, who gets to sit and have a beer with our CFO of the company. So it's a neat way for people to be able to bond and get to know each other. But I get to stock the beer fridge.
That is a fun fact. All right, Blake, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. So fun fact about me, I guess, would be when I was in college at UK and played football, I started every game for 4 consecutive seasons, which nobody else in my graduating class got to do. So 52 straight games as a long snapper. And then a fun fact about my job that people wouldn't know is finance and accounting is incredibly fun. Is that you get to work with more than just the numbers. I think a lot of people have this perceived notion that all finance and accounting people do is sit behind a computer screen and stare at numbers all day. And it's not all day, most of the day. But outside of that, there's a lot of cross-developmental functional stuff that we're doing to help grow in a way that you don't think finance and accounting could do.
That's great, Blake. Thanks for those insights. Samantha?
My fun fact. Well, first I felt old and now I don't feel very fun. My fun fact. Okay. So I think I mentioned I'm not from here. I'm originally from New York. Fun fact, I'm sitting down, but I'm not much taller than this. I'm about 5'4" and a quarter. And to be a Rockette, you have to be 5'6". So I danced all my life and could not try out because I did not meet the height requirement. So I don't know if that's fun for me so much as fun for everybody around me to laugh at. Best thing about my job, I tell Kelly and I tell everybody on the HR team, if not for us, it doesn't happen. So while I know in the grand scheme of things, Lenny runs the company, as our CEO, if not for these great people and hundreds of great people that are employed by this company, it doesn't happen. We don't sell the fans, we don't manufacture the fans, we don't ship the fans, and we don't bill our customers. So there's got to be some sort of hen that keeps us all together, and I'd like to say that those hens live in HR.
No, that's perfect. I love that perspective for the students, because when you hear HR, when you hear human resources, you don't always think about it being truly what holds the organization together. And that's exactly what it is. John, how about you?
All right, so I have a kind of a off the wall fun fact about myself. So mentioned growing up in a rural part of the state. Later in my life, I went to have a MRI done and found out that I have a BB lodged in my head. Found that out the hard way. Thought they were crazy and didn't know how to do their job. And sure enough, it popped up on a CT scan, and I have a picture on my phone for anybody who doesn't believe me. So that is my fun hillbilly fact, I guess you could say. And as far as a fun part about my job, I actually contribute to the sales go every day for Gretchen to open the beer fridge and stock it as well. And each time we get an order that is $20,000 or more, we have a bell in the front of the sales floor here and a sound system, so you can connect your phone to it. And for every $20,000 you sell, you get to ring the bell once. So the more rings, the bigger the order, and the more rings in a day, the closer we get to that beer fridge.
That is fun. I think the BB might have stolen the thunder of the fun fact.
We'll get some chats going on. I don't know what will, right?
Exactly. That is really fun. I think the BB might be one of the funnest facts that I've ever heard doing something like this. I love that. Liz?
Oh, well, I don't think I can top having a BB lodged in my head. So, fun fact, I'm pretty boring. I do like to bake. So that's one of my favorite hobbies. I do cakes and cupcakes on the side, cookies too. So fun fact about me, a fun fact about my job. I kind of hinted at this earlier. I work with so many different departments in the company, and I love to get to talk to all the different people and continue to build those relationships with just so many different departments here. I work with Blake on a daily basis, John, Gretchen, and so many other people. So I love that. A fact that you might not think about product management, we do a lot of math. So constantly working with Blake and more math than you would expect. So just a couple of things.
Thank you. I did see one question pop up in the chat for John. I don't think we know the answer. We need more info on John's BB and how that happened. And John, it sounds like you truly don't know. You didn't know it was there, right?
Exactly. It was a complete mystery, and I was not aware of its existence until I had an MRI and CT scan, which was completely unrelated to said BB. It was actually for a migraine issue, but that's when I found out I had it. And that was like within the last maybe 2 or 3 years.
Wow. Well, Ryan, there's your answer. So thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you all being here today. It's been great, and it's been really fun. So I totally feel that culture that you all have talked about throughout. I think I am turning it back over to Miss Harper Smith to wrap us up for the day.
Yeah, thank you all again so much. This was a really fun session. And I actually, back when we could go on field trips and stuff, when Best of Business first kicked off, I actually went to Big Ass Fans and they gave us these cute little fannies. So hopefully we can be in person again soon and have some students come visit y'all, because it is such a cool place to see and a great place to work, it sounds like. So thanks again to you all, and thanks to Sarah for facilitating that. I think this was a great session. So thanks to everyone who was involved. Our next live session's next week on Wednesday, March 17th with Mill Ridge Farm in partnership with Horse Country. So we hope we all will see you there. And thanks again to the Big Ass Fans team. Everybody have a good day.
Thank you all.